That's right, and our candidate interviews continue today, and like I said, they'll continue today through tomorrow, and all next week as well. Take your notes, because remember, we won't get those ballots actually till about the 19th, so you'll definitely want to use your notes and highlight those notes and when we talk to these candidates.
Because everything you need to know will be said in the next 15 minutes.
I don't know, but we'll try. We are trying. We have a guest in the studio this morning. We have A.J. Cooper. She is a candidate for representative in the 15th District, Position 2, faces Jeremy Defoe. And good morning. Thanks for coming in. Yeah.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
All right, I got a question for you. Just
one question?
Just one. And then we'll get to the real stuff. But this is the goofy one. In your run-up to the primary, did you think that it would be Jeremy Defoe, or did you think you'd be facing Dave Taylor? Or did you even give it any thought?
Well, actually, I did. I thought I was going to be facing, it would be a rematch between David Taylor and I. So it was fairly surprising to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people. Well, you say you are running because of your children, right? I mean, and you seem to be all about education.
Well, I was a teacher also.
Right
so
on.
for me, education is the number one. And, education is one of those issues that's important to our society. It's important to the future of, for our children. And so, definitely.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We usually say, who is A.J. Cooper? So I guess in a nutshell, tell us who you are, and in case people don't know.
Well, I live in Sela. My husband and I have been living there for 6 years now. We live in a small farmhouse that we've actually been remodeling ourselves, do-it-yourselfers. So
you are a glutton for punishment.
YouTube videos. Yes, exactly. And a mother of 2 children, as you mentioned, and I was an educator. And so for me, the past few years, I've been kind of a fitness instructor that serves for that teaching that's in my blood without all the stress of being a teacher in the public school system. And, and again, living here in the rural area, farming, agriculture is so important to our economy, to our job force. So for me, the big issue is water. And of course, with water comes we want clean water and we want clean air.
Right. Well, that's one of the issues that you say you want to fight for clean water, and boy, we've certainly had the problems here in Yakima County.
Yes, we have, especially in the lower valley. I mean, 20% of our wells with that are drilled into those shallow aquifers are contaminated with nitrates. So we definitely need to find that plan. As I mentioned last time I was here, we've been waiting 6 years for a plan that's going to take about 5 years to implement just for monitoring. We need those. How are we going to get this water clean? Also, plan.
Well, back on education, funding education. I mean, the McCleary decision that they just dealt with, that the legislature just finished. Do you think? I mean, do you think that there needs to be even more funding for education? What's going on with education in your mind these days?
Well, right now, I stood with the teachers over the summer while they were waiting. While they were bargaining their wage increase. These were increases that have been, neglected for quite a long time. The cost of living is going up. The teachers end up taking home less every year. So I was right there with them. Again, we need to make sure that those wages keep up with the cost of living. Our teachers, the support staff that help our teachers that stand side by side. They're the ones that make our education system. I know what it's like when those shortages and those resources are not there. You have to make them up in your classroom. We also need to have a flexibility in our classrooms. Our student population in this area is very diverse. So we need to be able to make those adjustments for the diversity for our area. We also have students in the schools that don't exactly fit into what we consider to be that status quo classroom. We need to make adjustments there. Everyone needs to be included. Every child in this valley deserves a quality education.
Well, it's interesting. I know that the Yakima School District, some classroom flexibility was one of the things that the union was trying to get negotiated with their contract, was a little more wiggle room for independent stuff in each classroom. So I think the teachers in Yakima would be right along with you in that regard. So one of the things that we get, though, with fully funded education is, in addition to higher pay for teachers, is higher property tax bills. And so people are already looking at that. And now the possibility of having to pay more should the initiative for the carbon tax pass. But with your, preemptive comments on clean water and clean air, I'm going to assume dangerously that you favor the initiative for carbon tax. Is that true?
Well, first of all, and this was something that I actually erroneously stated the last time too, is that this is a carbon fee, and I know people think fee, tax. Well, actually, there is a huge difference. The carbon tax means that it would probably end up going into a general fund, which probably would not be dispersed in the manner that it is meant to be dispersed. We've seen that happen with quite a few funding issues. The fee actually means that it has to be spent and the way that it is earmarked. So it is earmarked to be invested back into those lower income communities, rural areas where we have with investing in renewable energy sources for those lower income areas. So, these areas are going to be impacted with this fee, but there also is going to try and be a balance. But with initiatives, of course, it's up to the people whether or not they want this or not. So, and that's the legislators' business, is to listen. It's up there because the people are speaking. But if it doesn't pass, then the people are also speaking.
The legislature, I guess, was the first to kick this idea around. And you're right. It'll provide some relief on the one end, but the lower income places are going to be paying the 14 cents gas tax and all the other things that go along with it as well. Lance has been kind of, I wouldn't say grilling, I would say pleasantly conversing about the various initiatives with all of our candidates.
Yeah. Well, we'll just go down. We'll just go down the list here. You're 1631. So do we say you're in favor of 1631?
Oh, what now?
I'm sorry, that's the carbon pollution. That's carbon pollution we were just talking about.
The numbers.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's
tell
right.
me what they are. They're all so the same.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. Don't
We're
worry
all
about it.
1639, 1631. So, well, and again, whether I'm in favor of it or not, do I think that we need environmental issues? Do I think we need investment in it? Oh, definitely.
Sure. All right.
Definitely.
Initiative 1639, a Democratic Party backing this one. It's on gun restrictions, increased background checks, the storing of weapons, a number of different things for gun safety.
There are some aspects of that initiative that I do like. We had an issue here in Yakima where we had, unfortunately, there was theft involved. It was smash and grab super fast. We ended up with more than 40 or some guns out on our streets. We ended up
the local buy mart there? Is that the buy mart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of them.
All right.
Consequently, after that, every single month, we had one fatal shooting, at least one fatal shooting, while those guns were still out on the street. So there aren't any protocols for gun dealers to store their guns. I think that that's something that we do need to look at. And again, when it comes to initiatives, though, it's up to the people. It's up to them to decide. Are there parts of it I like? Yeah, there are.
Initiative 940, police officer training, de-escalation training, things like that. They're ordering for officers to do, I guess, less of a way for officers to face charges in shootings, things like that. Basically calls for a lot of increased training for officers, de-escalation training.
Well, as I'm on the ski patrol, so we actually do get some training on how to deal with people with mental illness, drug addiction, drunk people. But we don't even, we don't deal with that often, but we still get training. So I do feel that our police officers who do have to deal with this on a daily, pretty much on a daily basis, should definitely have some training in that. This initiative also mandates that they will, can offer first aid before the first responders come. I think that's really important also. But what I do like about what they're doing in this area is the Yakima Police Department has actually already hired someone from the Comprehensive Health to help with dealing with people on the streets who have mental illness. They're also, I don't know if they've hired them, but they're also in the plans at least to hire 2 more people. I would like to see programs like that because, our police officers, even if they do have extra training, that's not their purpose. I think they should be there. But, those that are qualified and certified to deal with people who have mental illness or have drug addictions, I think is a great programs. And those are definitely programs I'm going to support.
KIT News Time 7:55, talking to A.J. Cooper, a candidate for a representative in the 15th District, position 2. She's a Democrat. I-1634, the grocery taxes. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not, when it comes to taxing our food products, I know the idea behind it is probably to initiate healthier eating and living. But I think there's other ways to do it. But there are some other things, like, not to get too personal here, but feminine necessities are taxed. It's right there in the word, necessities, and it's still taxed. So I do think we kind of need to take a look at what's going on here. I do think that we do need to kind of initiate cleaner living and healthier living. But I don't know. I don't think that's the way to go.
You don't think taxing, I think Seattle called it their sugar tax or something, right? I mean, as a fitness instructor, you're probably
I'm
thinking,
all over it. But
you're probably thinking taxing is probably not the way I want you to get to stop to drink this stuff,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, good. There's your positions on the initiatives. Well, what do you feel is your number one issue as you go into this?
Well, actually, I have. Well, my number one is education, as we've stated before. And we always talk about funding. For me, it's not just about funding, though. It's about the curriculum. It's about the inclusiveness. It's about truthful teaching. We have quite a bit going on in our classrooms, and I really think that we just kind of need to look outside of our box here that we have in the United States, and to start kind of in adopting other programs that we see working in other areas. I think that our educational system, unfortunately, is not very inclusive, and I do think that free and public education is priority number one, and is something that I want to maintain for my children and my children's children.
Is that the superintendent of public instruction's job more than the legislature's, or how do you?
We do have some say in how that goes. I mean, after all, we passed legislation to there was I did not, but there was legislation passed to that mandates civics be taught in the classroom. Also, a comprehensive sex education, truth-based sex education, I would also like to see in our classrooms. Right now, the only thing that is mandated is HIV education. Mm-hmm. So I think we need a little more than that.
KIT News Time 7:58. We got about a minute and a half left. Well, here's your chance to convince people that you are the right choice. Why they should choose you over your opponent.
I actually just had my editorial board with my opponent the other day, and one of the things that he stated was that the wage increase for teachers should have been capped at 3%. We were playing catch up with that. Also, the Yakima Basin Integrated Plan, which is so important to our farmers. Our growers in this area. We're balancing out the water and balancing out with our wild. That program brought adversaries together. It brought environmentalists together. It brought the tribes and the growers together, and they came up with a plan it's admired nationwide and globally. And he hasn't even read it. I'm a huge supporter in that, and we've already supported it through the state with funding, and we also have the growers. The growers are investing in this project. I would like to see more projects like that where we all come to the table, we find those solutions. Not everyone got everything they wanted, but we have a plan that's moving forward.
Well, if you can find the way to get everybody working together, right, there's jobs for you above and beyond the state legislature, young lady. Let me tell you that right now in today's climate. Right. We wish you the best of good luck.
Well, thank you.
This isn't your first rodeo. You've got some experience, and so I'm sure you'll apply whatever you need to do to make the run now between now and November. And in the event you win, we look forward to more conversations with you down the road.
All right.
for coming
Well, thanks
in.
for
AJ
having
Cooper,
me.
thanks very much.